I'm delighted to say it is the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, who joins us now. Great to have you on the programme.
Thank you, Sophie.
So you're coming off the back of this vote last night. The Conservatives won this vote in the House of Lords on banning social media for under-16s. Do you think that's now an inevitability?
Well, I hope so. I'm absolutely delighted, by the way, about that vote, because, of course, we don't have a majority in the Lords. But what it shows is that there is a national consensus, in my view, across political parties, except Labour right now, that we do need to limit young people's access to social media. Social media is not for children. And these platforms are designed to be addictive, and they are profiting off the distraction, anxiety and attention of young children, and that's having long-term consequences.
You're probably from the same sort of generation as me, which I think is quite an interesting generation, because we didn't grow up with phones, apart from, if you count Snake, where you could have, 3 messages on your old Nokia. But we have become used to them in our adult lives. So I'm interested in how do you deal with it, as a parent? What kind of rules do you have at home?
I have very strict rules, and I find them difficult to enforce. My children are 6, 9 and 12. I didn't give my daughter a smartphone until year 8, and it's locked down. My children, using the internet, have to ask permission. I use Microsoft Family Safety before they are able to access websites. And even then, you give them access to a website, more things happen on there than you're expecting. I'm at work, I can't see every single thing that they are doing, but I'm a very tech-savvy parent. I mean, I've got mobile device management on my daughter's Android phone. Most parents wouldn't be able to do that, and I think it's too difficult. This goes well beyond levels of parental responsibility. The platforms need to help parents, and I think the government needs to create the conditions for that to happen.
Would you like to see kind of like kids' phones, like kids' smartphones?
I would love to see kids' smartphones. So you remember the kind of phones that we had when we were growing up. I got my daughter, her first phone was a Nokia flip phone, a dumb phone. It was pink, and I thought I'd have loved to have a phone like that, in 1998. And she just looked at it like the most disgusting thing, like, why are you giving me this horrible thing? And I do think that we need products that are designed for children, that limit the amount of time that they're on there. These things are addictive. Even when we as adults use them, you look up and you realise you've been on it for half an hour when you wanted to check something just for 5 minutes.
You've spoken before, and look, I'm approaching this very carefully because it's a very, very tragic situation, but you've spoken before about your cousin, who actually took his own life, and you've spoken about his internet use before that. I just wondered if there's anything that you want to say about that and what it's taught you about, I guess, the pressures on adults as well as children.
Yeah, so he was a young adult, and he took his own life after spending a lot of time on social media, on the internet, looking at groups talking about fatalism, anti-natalism, that there are too many human beings on the earth, we're bad for the environment, and the best thing that human beings can do is take their own lives. And clearly he spent so much time on that, it influenced him. He must have been in a bad place already. But as we see with things like anorexia and self-harm, there are a lot of websites that have these things, and social media allows you to spend all your time just on that. The algorithm looks at what you like and continues to feed you more of that. Once upon a time, you had to search and look for it. If you have a social media account that recognises that you like these things, it brings them to you. And we have had colleagues just set up pure accounts pretending to be 14-year-old girls, and very quickly the content turns into self-harm. You don't look very good. This is what you should do to change how you look, and so on. And these platforms actually create and promote content that is harmful to children's self-esteem, their sense of self. They're addictive. They create anxiety. I think in 10 years' time, we'll be looking back and asking why we didn't do more.
Not everyone agrees. The NSPCC, which I think is very interesting, Society about the Protection of Children, they don't agree with this. They say banning children from social media risks an array of unintended consequences. It would see children migrate to other areas online, and also children aged 16 would then face a dangerous cliff edge when they do start to use social media. I mean, they know what they're talking about.
Well, I fundamentally disagree. There's a cliff edge for anyone who starts using social media. I'd rather the cliff edge was the 16 rather than 10
the NSPCC,
or 12.
They're wrong.
I disagree with them. I completely disagree. And I think one of the things that we need to look at is how we are educating children about social media, what it is we're telling them. I think the most important thing is the ability for adults to access children, strangers to access children. That is something that other forms of technology don't allow. WhatsApp, for instance, it's who's in your contacts. But the ability for strangers to talk to children is something that we need to curb, and that's one of the reasons why I disagree with them.
There's a whole load of foreign policy stuff going on that I'm very interested to get your take in. First of all, should the United Kingdom be part of Donald Trump's board of peace for Gaza?
I think we need to know exactly what it is before we're part of it. It is not clear, and I'm not surprised the government is yet to sign it. Other countries have raised concerns. I remember not that long ago, Israel was saying that it hadn't been consulted about some of the people who were being put on there. What we need to focus on is our national interest.
So you're at the minute, you think it's right to hold off then?
Let's look at what we're getting ourselves into. We don't need to rush into decisions. There is a lot of noise being thrown up in terms of what's happening with Greenland, what the US's intentions are. But given all of that, I think right now what we need to do is pause, take stock, and look at ourselves, what we're doing to make sure that we are a strong country. If the world is changing, if the rules-based order is fragmenting, what does that mean for Britain? And right now, we should not be certainly on any board with Vladimir Putin. That's something I'm completely against.
Which is I think the UK government's position as well. Talking about Putin, it feels like there is a bit more, I guess, like white smoke potentially coming from the US when they're talking about a Ukraine deal. They're saying there's just one outstanding issue. If that one outstanding issue is, as we think, giving up territory, is that a peace deal that we should support?
Well, I know President Trump is meeting with President Zelensky today. He has said that this is not something that he wants. We have said that Ukraine should not be forced to give up territory. But we all want to see this war come to an end. It's costing all of Europe, not just in money, but energy costs. It is destroying the lives of Ukrainians. Even Russians, are dying. This is not a good war for the world.
Can I talk about Donald Trump? Because if I go back to your maiden speech, you said there is more to conservatism than economic liberalism. There's a respect for the rule of law, personal responsibility. Donald Trump is someone who threatens to take other countries by force. Is he respecting the rule of law, and will you stand up to him?
We need to make sure that we stand up for the rule of law. If Donald Trump does things that we agree with and that are good for the British national interest, then we can support. When he does things that are bad for our national interest, that are bad for the rule of law, we should disagree.
So are you condemning him? Because
condemning
it feels
what
to me,
specifically?
Condemning the fact that he says that he will take Greenland, that Greenland should be part of America, for example. Will you condemn that? Is that against the rule?
I've already said that what is critical is that the people of Greenland have their say. It's what they want.
That's not a direct criticism.
But he hasn't done anything yet. He's just saying things. And this is one of the things that I think that we all need to take a step back from. Donald Trump says all sorts of stuff. Some of it is real, some of it is not real. I've been very clear that the future of Greenland is up to the people of Greenland.
If Vladimir Putin said the kind of things that come out of Donald Trump's mouth on Greenland, you would condemn him?
Well, what has Vladimir Putin said that I've not condemned? I've been very, very open that he is an enemy of the UK. He is an opponent. He's tried to kill people on UK soil. America is our closest strategic ally. It's our closest military ally. So we need to make sure that where they are doing things that we disagree with, we're robust. I have been very, very clear that he is wrong on Greenland to talk about. I've been very clear on that. I don't need to say it again and again.
I just think it's interesting because it doesn't feel to me like you have been very robust on Donald Trump.
What is the thing that you think I haven't said yet?
I don't think you've said that Donald Trump should not be using this language, that using this kind of language is inflammatory, that it is risking,
But I have said that. I've said he is wrong to talk about that. I have said that using tariffs as a bullying tool is wrong.
So I have
said that self-determination is absolutely key.
So do you think that he's been using bullying tactics then on Greenland? Is that what you would say?
I think that he likes to make deals, and when people make deals, they start off with extreme demands. I think that a lot of that's what's going on. I think what is more interesting is what's going to happen with Iran. We've seen a lot of movement in that area. That is the big story. That is the big issue. Greenland is a matter for the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark. They are a NATO ally. We support them. I've been very clear about what Donald Trump should and should not be doing or saying, what he is doing that is not in UK national interest. The tariffs, for example, I'm very glad that he has now receded from that position. But I also don't think that we should be saber-rattling either. Who are our enemies? Who are our friends? America is a friend. Russia is an enemy. And we will treat them differently on that basis.
It's been a pretty bumpy time domestically, I think it's fair to say. There's been a few defections to reform. Can I ask you one thing about Robert Jenrick? Because he keeps pronouncing your name wrong. I know this is a bit of a weird question, but at his press conference with Nigel Farage, he called you Kemi Badenoch, not Badenoch. Do you think he's doing it deliberately?
Well, I've never heard him say Badenoch before. So this must be a new thing. But as I said, Robert Jenrick is not my problem anymore. He's Nigel Farage's problem. He has not been able to say where he disagrees with any of my policy positions. He's criticising the last government, which he was in cabinet a lot longer than I was. And I think that that's interesting. It shows people that this is really about self-interest, not national interest. The Conservative Party that I lead is one that has to be united. We are a stronger team, even though we may be fewer in number. It's always sad to see people go. But what I want people to see is that we're thinking about how we can make their lives better, not just about who's going to win an election and not deliver for the people of this country.
Just finally, I interviewed you when you were running to be Conservative Party leader back in October 2024. And I asked you the first question if you wanted to be Prime Minister. And you wouldn't say yes or no. You actually said, I'm very well aware of how life could change for the worse if that happened. Do you still feel like that, or would you say that you want to be Prime Minister?
I said a lot more than that, but I do want to be Prime Minister. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. But I don't want to be Prime Minister just so I can be Prime Minister. I want to do it because I know that this country needs a lot of fixing. I've been very clear that there are many things that aren't going well. Our politics is broken, our government is broken, but we are still a great country. Yes, we need to improve things like the NHS. Yes, we need to make sure there are no potholes. Immigration is too high. We have a serious problem on our borders. That's why I've said we need to leave the ECHR. We need growth. Let's abolish stamp duty, get the housing market going, get jobs. There's a lot that we can do.
Squeeze them all in. Well done.
Yes, no, absolutely. I want people to know what I'm about. And to do these things, yes, I do need to be Prime Minister. But I want people to understand that it is about serving them. This is about public service, not about self-promotion.
Kemi Badenoch, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Sophie.